As always, welcome in to Walk It Off. I am your host, Paul Jarrett, and we have a full plate of things to talk about today. Full plate of things to talk about. I want to once again thank Eddie Yama for coming on the show last week. I want to thank Daily Joy for coming on the show last week. It has been a whirlwind weekend, and we have a lot to discuss. I hope you've enjoyed the Eddie Yaman clips I've been putting out. There's some Daily Joy clips coming very soon. It's been a whirlwind. It's been a lot. Hope y'all really enjoyed it. But before we get started, hey, do me a favor. If you can, if you're watching on YouTube, hit the like button. If you're watching on X, please repost the stream and like it. It's a big help, guys. It's a really big help. If you can on YouTube, if you haven't subscribed, go ahead and subscribe and go follow all the social media accounts from TikTok, Instagram to X, all at Walk It Off Talk. If y'all have noticed, I've been using the Walk It Off Talk more for everything. I'm just going to start using the Walk It Off Talk X more or less. Still, you can follow at Paul Jarrett 16, but be using the Walk It Off Talk channel a lot. So, as you see on the thumbnail, it's just different in Louisiana. Nike has created partnerships, and if you've paid attention to baseball season, heard us talk about it. This isn't the first time they've done it. But as of recently with football, Nike has signed deals with, I believe it's 14 different teams and around 54 to 57 athletes across the nation for football, for NIL deals, basically, for football players to display their brand. Teams ranging from Ohio State, Stanford, SMU, Vanderbilt, Alabama, Auburn, so on and so forth. But I keep saying we're the brand. Well, the team that they signed the most players is LSU, 11. They have a whole side of football they have in their roster for NIL athletes with Nike. If you've been watching SEC Media Days, there isn't a single coach that can go to the podium and you cannot talk about LSU for some reason or another. Today with Kirby Smart. Talking about, they tried to get him in a spot with saying Lane Kiffin's a troll, and he did a really good job of working himself out of that. Even today with Shane Beamer, he kind of subtly brought up LSU, talking about tampering, having guys having opportunities to go to other schools who weren't in the transfer portal. I'm sure he was also talking about Sterling Lucas. I believe it's Sterling Lucas. I may be having that wrong. Coming over as a coach to LSU. And we're going to get into a lot more examples of how they keep talking about LSU and Lane Kiffin when we get into the media day talk here in a little bit. But when it comes to LSU, you already know they had Trey Green, Whit Weeks, and DJ Pickett involved in the promotion into the NIL sponsorship. We also have brought in Jace Brown, Lamar Brown, Harlan Berry, Caden Durham, Jordan Seaton, Princewell, Uman Yellen, and Hassan Longstreet. Why I want to bring that up? Why did I single out Hassan Longstreet's name? He's the backup quarterback. I've heard some people say that's probably the reason why he came to LSU was this NIL Day agreement. I'm guessing they could have called Nike and made a decision back then. It's very well possible. None of the other teams have backup quarterbacks on the Nike deal. LSU is just different, and Lane Kiffin is turning around every day and showing everybody why this place is just different compared to everybody. And his former school just has two. You can guess who they are. They're easy to, and they're great players. They are great players. I'm not putting down the players at all. But they want to say, oh, you can recruit guys here, at this school versus that school. That's not a better job. Look at what Nike says. Nike is looking at LSU and going, I can make money there. This isn't favors to Lane Kiffin and the coaching staff or to Baton Rouge or Jeff Landry. That has nothing to do with this. This is all, hey, I can make money at LSU. Let's go give money to Whit Weeks. He's marketable. Let's go give money to Trey Green. He's the next Megatron. Hey, DJ Pickett, the next great cornerback coming out of DBU. Go give him money. Hey, Hassan Longstreet. He's the next quarterback, presumably, if not for Pop Houston, which I kind of have my money on Pop Houston, at LSU, another great quarterback coming over from USC. Hey, Harlem Berry, he has going to have a breakout year this year. He has a running back coach now. Let's go give him some money. Nike is looking at LSU, and so is everyone else around the country are looking at LSU, and they're saying, we can make money here. Everybody, whether you are a marketing brand, whether you are a news or sports media, LSU is always coming out of their mouths because they know it's going to make money. It's time to embrace the villain era. I'm going to keep saying it till I'm blue in the face. And when I say, I want to clarify this. When I say embrace the villain era, I'm not saying go on social media and be, a butthead. I'm not saying go on social media and just talk out the side of your mouth, say crazy things, bring up people's families. No, I'm not going to stand for that. I'm not going to back that up. But what I'm telling you is embrace being hated because you're going to. The media is already setting up failure for Lane Kiffin. They're finding a way because they see, and guys, the schedule this year is brutal. I saw a top 10 hardest strength of schedule come out today. How LSU isn't up there in the top 3 is preposterous. I think South Carolina maybe had the hardest one. I have to go back and check. But how LSU is not up there with having to go on the road to Oxford, having A&M at home, having Alabama at home, having Texas at home. Like you have Clemson at home. You have a lot of tough games here in Louisiana, like at home. I get it, but you still go on the road. You have Kentucky, who I am not worried about Kentucky, I would say, because Joe Sloan is still the offensive coordinator. We're going to talk about that here in a little bit as well. But you have Will Stein there as the new head coach of the Kentucky Wildcats. Can he change that team into something that they haven't been in forever? Mark Stoops, I don't think was a bad coach. I think it never got him over the hump. He got him right to that edge, and then it would fall. Can Will Stein turn that program over to a winning program, above 500 program? Could they be dangerous? They could be. They have a great quarterback there. I believe his name is Minchie. They have Lance Hurd there. They have a bunch of pieces there. Nick Anderson went there. If he can stay healthy, he can be great. They have pieces there for Will Stein to succeed. That's going to be a tough game on the road. Auburn's a tough game on the road. I don't care what anybody says about Alex Golesh. He wasn't, I wouldn't say, particularly impressive at media days. You're basically playing USF in the SEC now with Byron Brown as the quarterback. Look, he's still a prolific play caller. He's called plays in the SEC before. I think he's going to be fine. Auburn's always going to be a tough team. There's voodoo in Jordan here. There is some voodoo over there. LSU has a really tough schedule. Really tough schedule. But they see that Lane has the pieces he needs to get through that tough schedule and be successful. And they're panicking. They don't want Lane to succeed. Would you want Lane to succeed if you were a media personality? I'm not picking on Marty, but I'm picking just everybody else around ESPN, Fox, Yahoo, Sports Illustrated, whoever the case may be. You were just saying how Lane's making the worst decision possible. How Lane is doing he's committing treason. It's terrible what he's doing. He shouldn't be involved this way. He shouldn't be leaving at this time. Ole Miss, poor Ole Miss. They're just getting there. If you were acting that way at the end of November, again, December last year, and now you look at the team that's been assembled and the schedule, schedule's hard, but you see the team that's been assembled and Sam Levitt's 100% healthy. Oh, we got Jordan Seaton. Oh, he retained Trez Green. Oh, Jace Brown. Oh, Mothershed. Dylan Jones. Ooh. TJ Dottery, Princewell Uman Yellen. And I'm not even naming guys who are back. PJ Woodland, DJ Pickett, Phillip Lindsay, Caden Durham. They know we've been talking lately about Jay Johnson acting like Thanos, getting all the different Infinity Stones in the gauntlet. And this may be a really good year for LSU athletics. It may be a really fun calendar year or academic year. Will Wade's back in town. Kim Mulkey's always fun. Gymnastics is going to win. Baseball is looking like a murderer's row lineup. It looks like we've got a gauntlet here in Baton Rouge, and I'm excited for it. Let's get to the chat real quick. My buddy Babin, what's up, my guy? And kiss that baby goodbye. My buddy Tokidoki, how you doing, sir? Mr. Robbie Plaisance, how you doing, buddy? How's everybody doing tonight? Kelly Joe, how you doing, sweetie? How you doing? My Louisiana peeps, y'all stay safe from the tropical storm when it hits. Yeah, it kind of came out of nowhere. I usually keep a good eye on stuff like that around this time of the year, but usually August I'll really start watching. But yeah, hopefully it stays tropical storm and keeps shifting and kind of just goes back into the Gulf. But I'll be honest, I don't know much about it. Miss Melly, hello, how you doing? I see Byron Brown, bro. That's a big dude for real, for real. Yeah, no, I'm not putting down on Byron Brown. Don't get me wrong. Not putting down on him at all. Lenora Sellers is a big dude too, and Shane Beamer's wasting that guy. Shane Beamer today talked about how they lost, I think, 6 or 7 games last year, or maybe less than that. Down a touchdown going into the fourth quarter. Not saying you're supposed to win those games when you're down going into the fourth quarter, but with a 1 touchdown lead, deficit going into the fourth quarter, you should at least fight. You should at least have a little bit more, of a chance to win. They didn't have that. It didn't work out for them. If they make the playoffs this year, they're going to be battle tested for sure. You talking about LSU, Robbie? Yeah, they'll be battle tested. They'll be battle tested. We're going to talk about that as well today. When we come out of the break, we're going to talk about Greg Sankey's remarks when he opened up SEC Media Days, how he is gaslighting everyone, every fan around the SEC, in his remarks regarding the playoff expansion. Then we're going to get into some SEC Media Day talk. And I have to address something about a former subject of ours on this show a little bit later. Our buddy Coyote Operators in the chat, didn't they blow a 30-3 lead versus A&M? That they did. We're going to go take a quick break. When we come back, we're going to go jump right into the SEC Media Day conversation. Should be a good one. Stay with us.
John 16:33, Jesus says, I've told you all this so that you may have peace in me. Here on earth you will have many trials and sorrows, but take heart because I've overcome the world. That truth that Jesus won is so powerful, so significant in our lives if we fully trust and fully surrender to that promise. No matter what we're going to face, no matter what stress, no matter what challenges, no matter what anxiety, Jesus promises peace, and he reminds us that all of the sin, the fear, the doubt, the shame, he overcame it all. He paid the price for your sin and mine when he went to that cross. He died a death that we deserve. He went into the grave. He didn't stay there. 3 days later, he rose from the grave, and the promise is true that he's coming back someday. So the power and the significance of that verse is now in a 2-word phrase that's on a t-shirt, on a hat, on a hoodie, and simply said, Jesus.
Even in the valley of the shadow of death, I can take rest, cause the living God is living in my chest. Every day I wake up feeling blessed, and even if I don't, I see it as a test.
Join me and your favorite players by expressing your faith and assisting local ministries. Use code WalkItOffTalk for 20% off your orders at JesusOneApparel.com. 15% of your purchase will support local ministries like the LSU FCA. That is code WalkItOffTalk for 20% off. Jesus One. In South Louisiana, There's nothing we love more than God, family, sports, and food. For your next get-together, make sure you contact Lemme Sourdough Bakery. Whether you're gathering with friends and family for the big game or surrounding yourself with loved ones for a Sunday dinner, let Lemme Sourdough Bakery provide what you need to make it that much more special. Lemme Sourdough Bakery is a small batch, all organic bakery right here in the heart of Baton Rouge, Louisiana. Go take a look at what's being mixed up in the kitchen next, as well as place your orders on Instagram at Lemme Sourdough Bakery. Don't forget to pick up your regular sourdough loaves, your jalapeno cheddar loaves, cookies for those late night snacks, and cinnamon rolls for those early morning cravings. Lemme Sourdough Bakery, where the first ingredients in anything made is love. Lemme Sourdough Bakery. And if you haven't noticed, I think I said this last week, Lemme Sourdough Bakery is doing a 10% off code when you go and make, I believe it's your first purchase, but I'll do some talking. I'll do a little sweet talking. The code's Walk It Off. So when you go to their Instagram page, it's a hot plate website. If I don't know if you can go straight to hot plate and find it or not. I'm telling you, I'm not that fluent in that. But if you go to the Instagram page for Lemme Sourdough Bakery, it's at Lemme Sourdough Bakery, and you can place your order. It's code Walk It Off. Just walk it off, and that'll be your 10% off right there for your sourdough order. Let's see if we got anything to chat. Uncle Randy saying what's up to everybody in the chat. Toki Doki, what up, Unc? He's saying what's up to everybody. Stephen Young checking in from St. Augustine, Florida. Should have went up to Media Days, pal. Should have been up to Media Days. Where's everybody at right now? Y'all get stuff from bakery. Stuff is absolutely worth it. I would tell y'all this. That man drove from where he lives clear on the other side of the state to come get it. That should tell you something. All right, let's get into a little bit of the SEC Media Day conversation. SEC Media Days is in full swing. We're 2 days through. We've seen half of the SEC coaches come to the podium. Day one was probably a little more interesting than day two, a little more interesting than it was today. Today it's a little more funny than anything. Today you saw Kirby Smart with Georgia, Alex Golish with Auburn. You saw Clark Lee of Vandy and Shane Beamer of South Carolina. I'll be honest, I missed the Clark Lee interview. I went and picked up lunch for me and the missus. So I missed the Clark Lee interview. I know I'm sorry. I failed everyone miserably, but I don't think Clark Lee probably had that much. I think Vandy has a big withdrawal from grace without the Pavia days. With that behind them, I know they got some good recruits coming in, but Vandy just can't sustain that type of talent with those high of academic standards and the NIL not being there. I just don't see it happening. But let's get into what Commissioner Greg Sankey said as he opened SEC Media Days. He started off there. They had a lot of questions talking about playoff expansion. They talked about the SEC breaking off from the NCAA. As far as he comes to with the playoff expansion, one thing that really irked me and how he gaslights every fan base of the SEC is when he says he wants to take the fans' opinion in consideration. He doesn't. It's all fugazi. It's all lies. He doesn't care what anybody else says. This is like one of those 80-20, 90-10 ideas in the public to where no one wants to expand. Not the SEC, that is. And you can tell me, yeah, some coaches want to expand. Yeah, I guess they do. They can guarantee a spot in the playoff. Yeah, I guess they do want to expand. I guess they do. That keeps their jobs. They get higher paid salaries. They get bonuses and make the playoffs. Yeah, they want to expand. Greg Sankey doesn't care about what the fans say. Greg Sankey wants to make sure he doesn't get sued. He wants to make sure he can make more money, and that's it. That's it. Period. Now, when it comes to playoff expansion, I have some stuff to bring up here for everyone as we do this. Here we go. This is from ESPN, Andrea Adelson. she had a piece up talking about this. And when asked about the expansion, Sankey was quoted, "People have talked about that, the frustrations that bring them to that point of saying we should look at something significantly different. I do not believe that is a leverage point. I think that's honest communication." What he's saying when he says that is he doesn't believe that you have coaches or athletic directors or university presidents in the SEC saying, "Oh, we need to break off and make another conference," as a leverage point against, say, the Big Ten or the Protect College Sports Act that's failing miserably at the hands of somebody we're going to talk about a little bit later. But he's saying that it's not a leverage pull. It's a leverage play. But I also can understand what he's saying where it's like, hey, it's honest communication. It's not fair. He's looking at the fact that he walked into those offices and he told those athletic directors and those presidents, hey, if we add a 9th conference game to our schedule, we can probably go to 16 games, a 16-team playoff, or stay at 12. And now everyone's turning around and going, nope, we want 24. But I just gave y'all 9 conference games. Yeah, too bad. Too bad. That's what he's saying. And it's probably just aggravating him. We also have this right here. We believe changes to the act are necessary to make it more effective. The changes we've suggested are both achievable and reasonable. And we're committed to working with Congress to move the legislation across the finish line. He's talking about the College Sports Act, the Protect College Sports Act. The SC has also been clear and transparent with our congressional stakeholders amendments to the bill, such as antitrust and preemption language. Such as antitrust and preemption language. Let's see. Basically, what he's saying when he says that is he wants preemptive language and he wants antitrust is to make sure that they can't just keep getting sued. They just can't. They want to do stuff to the transfer portal and limit what these players can do, which I think there needs to be limits put on these players. I want these guys to make money. I do. But when they opened up the doors to NIL, they didn't open the doors with a what's best in the player's interest in mind. They did this and went, oh, you can get paid. I don't want to hear it no more. And that was it. That was it. They didn't have any guardrails. They didn't have any kind of, standards. They didn't have any, like the SEC. I remember the SEC was the first conference to come out and say when they had 2 transfer portals, if you leave in the second window, you can't go to an SEC team. I think they may have been the only conference to have that type of language or that type of stipulation within players in their conference to help limit tampering. Now there's only 1 transfer portal window. Well, they're tampering. It's pretty simple. There's meaning and value that we participate in a national organization, but that national organization must function in a healthy manner. Otherwise, that simmering will continue, meaning if something isn't done, this is going to keep happening until it's water simmering until it boils, and all of a sudden, the frog that don't want to die hops out. Our approaches remain consistent. We're not necessarily interested in finding the easiest path. We're focused on finding the right path for college football. That's another thing for gaslighting. If you care about college football, if you're going to make it 24, make it 64. Make it 108. Throw all the rankings out the window. Just have a tournament every week. So it won't matter. You're getting rid of the value in regular season games when you keep adding teams to the playoff. How many of you in the chat used to look at top 25 rankings and you would say, anybody after 15 probably ain't good enough? Anybody after 15, yeah, they ranked, but that's like we finished the season ranked, guys. Anybody 15 and below, it's really it really was 12. The 12-team playoff is still, I like the 4-team playoff better. I probably would have preferred an 8-team. 12 is pushing it for me. I guess I'm just, stuck in my ways. But if you're going to have a 2014 playoff, just make it 64. It makes no sense. And Greg Sankey coming out here saying he cares about what the fans think and he cares about what's best for college football. You're full of it, man. It doesn't make any sense. You care about the revenue. And the one thing you care about the most in that bill is make sure you're not pooling media money. And I don't blame him when he says that. Why should the SEC foot bills for the Pac, whatever the number is, or the Big 10 or the Big 12? Excuse me, Big 12. Why should they foot the bill for them? Or the ACC? Why should the SEC, who gets viewers, who sells tickets, who sells merch, like, how does anybody know what stadium capacity Indiana holds? Everyone in the country can tell you the stadium capacity for Tiger Stadium, for Death Valley. Everyone can tell you what the capacity at Kyle Field is. There's other teams like Happy Valley, Penn State, or Miami and Coral Gables, and but it's very few and far between of how many they can even hold. How many of them even sell out if College Game Day isn't there? I still remember the UCLA game where people were in the stands dying. They were perishing with the heat. That place was packed to start, and then people started falling out. Yeah, they're like, oh, they left the game. They're not even there for the team. Yeah, no. People don't want, they want to enjoy the game. They don't want to be there just, waiting to meet their maker yet. You know what I mean? Now, granted, they should have had a little more water at the tailgate, but it was an early game. I'm not going to hold that against them. Greg Sankey does not care about what the fans think. That's basically what I'm trying to say. I like Greg Sankey. I'll be completely honest with you. I like Greg Sankey. I think he's a good commissioner. I think he's put things in place for the SEC that has helped. He got bamboozled with the 9-game schedule. He got bamboozled. And there are a lot of people in the national media saying this won't really affect scheduling, blah, 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 blah. They'll still need to have this and that. They've canceled the home and away games at Arizona State, and they've replaced them with Southern. And I believe ULM and I think maybe Tulane or Nicholas. They've placed them with I think McNeese, or they've replaced them with in-state schools that they can rest starters in. So if you think it won't affect scheduling, it already is. Why would you schedule yet another, make it a 10th P4 opponent? Well, 11th, because you have to have another P4 opponent with the non-conference games. 10 struggle buses for a team. Now, yeah, I thought about this the other night, and I went, if you win Nash, Joe Burrow, Ed Orgeron, Clyde Edwards-Helaire, all them dudes in 2019, hey, do you care who we scheduled? They would have said no. They would have said no. Well, that's the greatest college football team to ever step on the field in a college game. It's different. If I'm the head coach, if I'm Lane Kiffin, I'm not scheduling. I'm finding the lowest ranked P4 opponent, and I am paying them a ton of money to get here. A ton. I'm gonna go schedule Iowa State. I'm gonna go schedule, I don't know, Troy. Well, they're not a P4 opponent. I'm gonna go schedule somebody instead of, and this is what gets me all the time too. Where's Notre Dame in all this? How is Notre Dame left outside in this, and they're not really affected because they're not in a conference? Oh, we'll count them. They win so many games, they have an automatic bid. That's erroneous. Erroneous on both accounts. Notre Dame shouldn't get any special treatment. Join the conference. Oh, the ACC. I don't care. Make it official, like a ref with a whistle. Go make it. Go join a conference. You want to complain about USC canceling a rivalry game. What reason do they have to schedule you? What reason? You don't have a conference. You don't have these gauntlets of schedules to go through, like the LSUs, the Alabamas, the Floridas, the Texas A&M. Texas opens up with Ohio State. LSU opens up with Clemson. What reason does anybody have to schedule you? Oh, for the brand. We don't need your brand. We got ESPN and Nike. You got CBS or NBC. No, you have CBS. You got NBC. We don't need you. Your brand is Marcus Freeman. That's it. And I know he just signed an extension. Let the right NFL team come call him. He gone. All right, let's get to the comments real quick. See what I missed out on. Teams who can't make or shouldn't make the playoffs are the only teams who want it. Then you have the ones who want more teams in it to make money. Every SEC head coach, I don't think we've heard Lane Kiffin give his opinion on this. I'll be honest. But I'm going to encompass every SEC head coach has come out and said they are in favor of the extended playoff. Mike Elko, I can't stand the Aggies. I have a lot of respect for Mike Elko because when he came out and you had the meetings in Florida for the SEC in spring meetings, he came out and said it. Yeah, I want all the playoff teams in. Helps me make more money and keeps my job. Anyone after 10. So you were even harder than me. Like, I would go to 12. Because sometimes you'd have that one-loss team that slid down to 12 because they had a bad loss, or like you had that up-and-comer. Like, they can never make this like who was it the other day? Who said, I forget. I can't remember who said it. They asked him about committees picking teams for the playoff, and they basically said, I don't like committees picking teams. What do you want to go back to the BCS era? BCS era was good to LSU. I mean, a lot of people just like the BCS, but I can't disagree with having the committee pick the teams. I think it's kind of ridiculous. You should let the performance in the play stand for itself. But they can walk into that door and take their hat off and put it on the coat rack all they want. You're walking in there with bias. Period. You're walking in there with bias. You can't tell me you're not. I don't know. How long is the 9-game schedule policy in place, or can it change year over year? It is I think it's carved in stone right now. I mean, I'm sure things can change. They have to make a decision by, I think, December 27th to the playoff structure to have it be affected for the next year. Sankey said something about yesterday, but yeah, no, 9 games is here to stay, Pada. 9 games is here to stay. And, of course, not Troy. Anno's back in the building, so we may not want to schedule Troy. My girl Alex from the Tiger Talk podcast. How you doing, sweetie? Hope all is well. Schedule, you're missing one. I'm not saying that, Robbie. You're missing one. All right. Let's get into the coaches. So, like I said, day 1 was a little more animated than day 2, clearly. When it came to SEC Media Days, you had Brent Venables, which if you listen to Brent Venables and you don't like him, something's wrong with you. You don't have to root for the Sooners, but as a person, Brent Venables seems like a good guy. You had Eli Drinkwitz, Missouri, who just cornball of cornballs, man. I saw a interview. You have Jared Mitchell from the Mic'd Up podcast. J Mitch is doing SEC has him doing a little kind of sit down interview thing with the coaches. It's kind of cool. And Eli was on there and he asked him why he wore a visor. And Eli's like, well, I want to be like Steve Spurrier. You're not Steve Spurrier, guy. You're not Steve Spurrier. You're wearing a visor because the only thing that probably fits on your head right. Let's be honest. You had Will Stein of Kentucky, which let's talk about Will Stein real quick, just for a moment. I'm happy people are giving him grief about his answer. I'll say that. He was asked during his press conference if why he believes he can be successful at Kentucky. Because earlier he stated he came to Kentucky because he believes he can be successful at Kentucky. He can win games. And he was asked, why do you believe you can be successful at Kentucky? What about it makes you believe you can be successful? And he said, me. He made a longer-winded answer, but he went, me. And I respect that. If you like, I want Lane Kiffin to go up to the podium and go, hey, you think you can win a national championship at LSU? Yeah. Why? Me. He's not saying he doesn't need the fans. He's not saying he doesn't need the boosters or the administration or the state or whatever. He's just saying, I can do this here. So shout out to Will Stein for being a gangster. But again, they trying to pull the wool over your eyes. Will Stein coming out and saying that he's not going to be calling plays at Kentucky. He's going to let Joe Sloan call plays. You ain't going to do that, Will. If you a good coach, you're not letting Joe Sloan call plays. You're not letting Joe Sloan call plays. There's two things he said about Joe Sloan that I laughed out loud, like deep laugh. First, he said he's a great recruiter. Who'd he recruit? I remember one recruit he recruited. Is he playing at LSU? Did he show up for the purple and gold? Mr. Underwood is still in Michigan. And he went to Michigan. Joe Sloan ain't no good recruiter. You out your mind? What recruited Bryce Underwood to LSU was money. It wasn't Joe Sloan. He developed a quarterback. Did you watch Garrett Nussmeier? He didn't develop Jaden Daniels. I don't want to hear that. You can, he didn't develop Jaden Daniels. If anything, he made Jaden Daniels regress. Because he didn't have a run game because you had Frank Wilson teaching the running backs, and offensive line was just porous at best. Even in the year he won the Heisman. Why do you think he had so many rushing yards? Because he had to run. Because he was getting pressured. He didn't have time in the pocket. You didn't develop anybody, Sloan. And I did see an article earlier where Will Stein, let me pull it up real quick. I have it right here, where he clarified his statements about letting Joe Sloan call plays at Kentucky. He's quoted in the article. This is with KSR. This is a Kentucky blog or something. I'm going to be heavily involved in the offense every step of the way, but just because I'm not reading off into the mic to our quarterback doesn't mean that I'm not meticulous about what plays are being called and when it's being called. That tells me he's told Joe Sloan in the booth, call this. Wait, what are you calling? No. Joe, call this. That's what it's going to be. Oh. Another thing he added about Joe Sloan that just made me laugh. He's a great communicator. How many times did we see Garrett Nussmeier doing this? How many? Brian Kelly, who was thinking about his handicap or with the next house he wants to do an open house at, is sitting there on the headset going, what did he just call? I know they were co-offensive coordinators. If you're an offensive coordinator and Cortez Hankton is sitting there running people on and off the field, he's calling your formations. You're not a great communicator, guy. You need to tell him, hey, stop. To be a communicator, you got to communicate. Joe Sloan doesn't do that. It was hilarious. Let's move on. Let's move on to the star of yesterday's SEC Media Day. I wish I didn't have to do this.
Hope our fan base hasn't cooled off. So, whether it's the grocery stores being fully stocked with mustard, or our sports stores making sure that they got reinforcements on the golf balls. Hopefully, Knoxville's ready for his arrival.
Does anybody remember Greg Sankey, the SEC, coming out and giving Lane Kiffin like a warning for his statements. Why hasn't there been something stated about that? I don't care if he's talking about Lane Kiffin or Steve Sarkisian or Mike Elko, even Pete Golding. I don't care. You are advising your fan base to go buy mustard bottles, which I think that's funny. Just don't spray it on the guy. It's still assault. But then you're telling him to go buy golf balls and throw it at the opposing head coach when he comes to your stadium. What? Heupel, I know you don't have a quarterback and you don't know who's going to be your quarterback this year. That doesn't mean Lane Kiffin needs to get assaulted in Neyland Stadium. Are you out of your mind? You just openly encouraged assault on an opposing head coach. Now, it's a joke. It's a joke. No, it's not. No, it's not. Today with Kirby Smart, when they asked him the troll question, that was jokes. That was jokes. We'll get into that a little bit later. But you can tell he's joking. Heupel, you don't have a sense of humor, my guy. You can't spell humor. You probably spell it like the English people, you know, who lost a Revolutionary War and 2 world wars, but we helped them. But how do you openly advocate for assault on an opposing head coach? Not to mention, at the same route, like if an LSU fan goes to Neyland Stadium or goes to Tennessee and you get assaulted by a Tennessee fan, I'm suing Heupel. He advocated it. He said, hey, attack Lane Kiffin. Do you not think they're going to think, oh, we can attack the fans too? Go catch you a charge and get paid. Scars are cool. Girls dig scars. They'll pay you hospital bills when you're done, partner. Go get paid. That's the stupidest comment that could be made. That's the type of comment they accused Lane Kiffin of making. They would assume Lane Kiffin would come out and say, yeah, make sure you're throwing stuff at the opposing head coach. Like, you know, that's what they accused Lane. If Lane Kiffin came out and made that statement, oh, dear Lord, the world would burn down. And I'm not being sensitive here. I don't care what coach it is. It could have been Sandusky. You do not sit there and advocate for assault. It's pretty simple. Lane Kiffin's not going to do anything about it. Like, I'm surprised Jeff Landry didn't have something to say. I really am surprised. Nobody's donating. I mean, you know, our boosters may donate to Jeff Landry's campaign, but not in the way we're going to talk about later. So that was day one of SEC Media Days. Today was, again, a quiet day in comparison. Kirby Smart was the first thing this morning, the first coach smoking. And the only, like, he had some good things to say. They're going to get, see, this is what I don't get. If you have Lane Kiffin come to the podium, you know they're going to ask him all types of questions. And he's the first one in the morning on Thursday. And it's going to, so you have Golding on the University of Mississippi. That's the third coach tomorrow. Then you have Lane Kiffin as the first coach on Thursday. They're going to pepper him. They're all going to get there. They're going to be bright-eyed and bushy-tailed, ready to wreck Lane Kiffin, and they're going to ask him all kinds of crazy questions. I can promise you they're going to ask him all kinds of crazy questions. Why didn't you ask Kirby Smart about the speeding ticket or the car wrecks? Have you done anything about that? I get it. I like Kirby Smart. And no, I don't want reporters to go out there and ask guys stupid questions like that. But the double standard's insane. Quite insane. Kalen DeBoer, Alabama. Oh, nope. Getting ahead of myself. Alex Golesh of Auburn. Today, nothing of his media day press conference really stuck with me. You're basically playing the USF in the SEC now. That's really my take on Alex Golesh. He's a great offensive coordinator. He's gonna have a great defense at Auburn. Like, Auburn's not gonna be a team you could look at and just go win. I'm just not impressed with Golesh yet. yet. I think he's going to be a good team. Auburn's going to be a scary team. And we go to Auburn to play them. And that place is daunting. Again, like I told y'all earlier, Clark Lee of Vandy, I did not watch that part. Sorry, I wasn't really interested in that. And then Shane Beamer, who's always a treat to hear on a microphone. But really, no, he had one. The one thing I took from his press conference on the mic was when he talked about retaining his players at the press conference, and how they had players. I don't believe he said the word tampered, but he ensued tampering. There must be something in the water in South Carolina to just make them think tampering. Dabo has an excuse, but still, a lot of our guys, after the year we have, they could leave, and a lot of them had great offers to go to other schools, and they weren't in the transfer portal. And you didn't do that. Shut up. And I loved how he got to the mic, and he was like, I said from the beginning I wanted to be here. This is my dream job. That hasn't changed. I want to stay here. I guess the seat's getting pretty hot in South Carolina if he's sitting there begging to keep his job right now. Begging. South Carolina's in LSU's phase right now. They just fired Maneri and hired Kevin Schnall. They're like, bro, I got the money. We could fire Beamer. We can get somebody here. We could pull somebody away. They're probably looking at a guy like Blake Baker. Who's that guy? They could hire the defensive coordinator they just hired at South Carolina. I can't remember his name. For the life of me right now, I can't remember his name. They in that LSU mode where they ready to spend some money, get rid of some coaches. The second statement Beamer made today was he was fussing at the media for their lack of enthusiasm for the South Carolina Gamecocks this year. Because of the year they had last year, they're not highly ranked. They don't think very highly of them, I guess, in the polls. And he's saying, well, I don't know what's wrong with you guys. It's basically the same team coming back. It's basically the same team. They're a year older, a year better. And y'all just think we suck. Everybody thinks we suck. That's exact quote from Shane Beamer. Everybody thinks we suck. Yeah, because you did last year. Do I think you suck? No, I don't think you suck. I think compared to the SEC, you're not good. You'll beat most of the teams in the country because you're an SEC team and you have SEC caliber talent. Sellers. I can't remember his first name right now. Lenore Sellers is your quarterback still. He's a great quarterback. Amazing quarterback. I remember hearing a bunch of LSU fans saying, can we go get Lenore Sellers? That would be awesome. It would have been awesome. I like Sam Levitt, though. Shane Beamer is always a treat to hear at the SC Media Days because he's just funny, man. Tomorrow, you're going to have Kalen DeBoer, John Summerall, Pete Golden at the University of Mississippi, and Mike Elko at A&M. And then Thursday, you're starting off with Coach Lane Kiffin first thing in the morning. And I didn't look at the rest because nothing else matters. Let's get to the chat real quick before we get into our last little segment before we get out of here. Robbie, J. Mitch is a man. He is, man. J. Mitch is awesome. By the way, if you are a baseball fan, hold on. Let me get back to this real quick. I'll dig Kirby Smart on one thing. Kirby Smart did that show with Jared Mitchell today at the barbershop, and they were talking about Omaha. They're going to the College World Series, and J. Mitchell's like, hey, you were able to experience Omaha this year. How was it? And Kirby looks at J. Mitch and goes, hey, you ever been? It's like, bro, he was the mop. He was the most outstanding player. He won a national championship. How you not know that? Like, I get it. Like, he had his head down doing football, but man, like, know something, I guess. I guess I'm just an LSU fan. I don't know. Another thing about Kirby. Today when they brought up the trolling comment, Kirby knew exactly what that meant, and he was just digging at Lane. He was having fun back with him. That's all it is. He's like, oh, what's a troll? Oh, a troll is somebody who stirs pot. Yep, that's him. That's him. He would call me a troll, though. Like, he's just having fun. Other than being like a Heupel who's sitting there going, throw golf balls. He's saying, oh, wait, what's a troll? Oh, yeah, that's him. he would call me a troll, but because he said the Adonis of SEC football coaches. It makes you like Kirby a little bit more. Zach, the half of Go Deep Dive. I'm sorry, I am late. You are never late. You are always right on time, my good man. Talk about the Yankees. I was going to go over this today, but I knew we weren't going to have a lot of time. The MLBPA put out another offer today to the MLB. It's not going to pass. They want to change the rules. Like the one thing they definitely want to change is giving everyone second year eligibility, taking away the super sophomore, making everybody super sophomores. Nope. Sloan recruited Bryce Underwood. He did. And where did he end up? That's what I'm saying, Sloan's offense has 2 plays. So I think after seeing 9 draws on 2nd and 19 and 77 wide receiver screens, he's going to fire him. As soon as you said he had 2 plays, I went, wide receiver screen. And then, no, he had 3 because he had that one counter. They didn't call power one time. They started calling counter at one point of the year, but they'd call it once. And since Frank Wilson didn't teach anybody vision, no one knew the hole. So no one would hit it. So they stopped calling it. But then also halfback draw. How this clown wasn't fired for saying, I don't know. I don't think Heupel should get fired. Like, and I sound soft saying this. He needs to be suspended. You advocated for assault on an opposing head coach. How does that not scream suspension? He's not going to get suspended. I'm not going to be mad he doesn't get suspended, but like, it's kind of, yes, look, I love this country. And I love our Bill of Rights. And I love our Constitution. By the way, the Bill of Rights, just so everybody knows, doesn't give you rights. It restricts government's ability to remove your rights. It doesn't grant you rights. Those grants are inalienable. Granted by God. Government can't infringe on those rights. But the freedom of speech. He has a freedom of speech the same way as walking into a movie theater, yelling fire, or standing on an airplane and saying the word bomb. You can do it, but there may be consequences for your actions. Alex, I will be in Knoxville for that game. I'm going to be praying for you. I want you to be safe. That's all I got to say. Him and the Tennessee AD close, so that why? Well, he's not too good. Who, Heupel's not good? Yeah, no, I don't think Heupel's good at all. You said fined. Oh, I thought I'm not wearing, so where are they? I don't wear them during the show. I kind of need to sometimes. But, oh, yeah, you said fine. Yeah. I need glasses like David. I just don't like wearing my glasses. Speaking of David, the staff writer of And the Valley Shook. How you doing, good sir? David knows something that could potentially be coming down the pipeline for the show. I sent him a text today. And if you're a baseball guy, it's going to be fun. Like, I didn't think that would work out. You ever just like, I don't know, like you're sitting on your couch and you have a pen and you see like a little cup on the counter and you're like, I can make it. And you just do this and hits the cup and sticks in there. That's what just happened. Maybe. Beamer going to be the first coach fired this year. University of Mississippi ain't firing Golden because they believe he's the second coming. They call him the Messiah over there in Oxford. Nah, Sarkisian don't make the full season. Trying to think. Mississippi State don't care about football. Yeah. Venables, if they're not good, Venables is really hot right now, I think. But yeah, I would venture to say that Beamer be the first one really in a hot seat to get fired. Let's talk. Well, we're running out of time. Let's talk about this real quick. Like I said, we are the brand, and if you want clicks and sound bites, well, do something like this.
Success look like for Lane Kiffin, year one at LSU this year?
Well, look, I'm not going to beat around the bush. Lane Kiffin has to reach the national championship game or it's a failure. If he can't get further than he did at Ole Miss with more resources at LSU, then what are we even doing here? If you look at this roster, and I'm not even talking about how much money LSU is spending over the next 6 or 7 years, to field the 2026 version of LSU, they're spending over $100 million. That's $54 million to have Brian Kelly not coach them. That's $40 million plus to a roster that you accumulated talent through the NIL portal. And you have $13 million for Lane Kiffin. That's over $100 million. If you can't get further than Ole Miss did last year with a quarterback that nobody wanted that came from the FCS level, albeit he's a stud, love him. That was a great get by Ole Miss. But if you can't get that far, if not further, it's a failure. Not saying Lane Kiffin's job's in jeopardy if he doesn't reach the national championship, but it is national championship or bust. They have to get there with the roster that Lane Kiffin has accumulated. There's that much talent, and that's what the expectations are.
Trinidad Champ was getting the ricochet shot, huh? Nobody wanted an FCS quarterback. Great find for Lane, but nobody wanted him. Dude, this ricochet shot on Trinidad Chambliss. Goodness. Look. Jordan Rogers, how you doing, buddy? Listen, one, it's not $100 million, even if your math is technically correct. $54 million this year for Brian Kelly is not $54 million because they're paying him over the next 6 or 7 years. So, that would be around $7 million a year, somewhere like that, or $9 million, however it shook out. So it's not $54 million, but good job to make the number seem bigger to get people fired up. Go, that's $100 million to play football this year. No, it's not. For one, no, it's not. Number two, this is what I was saying earlier about the national media and all the talking heads coming out and saying, giving a way to blame Lane Kiffin to prove he failed in year one at LSU. I bet if I started, yes, Zach, if I started at a poll and I said, LSU fans, is it national championship or bust? I'm not going to say nobody, but 98% would say no. A heavy percentage would say playoff or bust. And I'm kind of on that track, but kind of not. And I'll explain why. But the national media is trying to frame your perspective on how this football season should go. Do I think Lane Kiffin has the talent to get to a national championship this year? I do. The offensive side is going to be ridiculous. It's going to be anything better than what Joe Sloan did last year. If he calls one wide receiver screen, it's like whenever Ode got the job from Miles. If he called toss dive, we'd have lost our minds. If I see one, I like halfback draws personally, but if I see one wide receiver screen, I'm going to lose my mind. Defense is going to be fine. I love the defense. Todd Benefield being in a secondary with DJ Pickett, PJ Woodland, Will Weeks, Daughtery, Yellen, Ross. Like you have, guys on the inside, Deuce Gerald's like Lamar Brown, Richard Anderson. Like I could keep going. This is going to be fine. They're trying to shape the narrative for you to get mad, and then they can come out at the end of the season if Lane doesn't make the national championship. I think it's hilarious now, though, that they're saying if he can't get further than he did with Ole Miss, yet they were giving Pete Golding all the credit in beating Georgia, all the credit in beating Tulane and Georgia, but now they're going to hold him to a standard. They didn't want to give him credit for those playoff wins, but they want to hold him to that standard now. I find that hilarious. But besides the point, I don't think anybody thinks it's national championship or bust. First year, whole new offensive staff. It's not a whole new defensive staff, except for Ed Orgeron coming in, but I think he's going to adjust well. I think he's kind of learned his P's and Q's around that building. And you have, I think, upwards of 70 players. If it's not 70, it's a little less. Brand new players, either transfer portal or incoming freshmen. It needs time to like sync up. It's not playoff or bust for me, personally. Don't let the national media shape the narrative around what you believe this season will be successful or not for Lane Kiffin and LSU. Enjoy the games. They're going to be fun. They are going to be fun. David, I'm assuming South Carolina just spent money on Maneri buyout and hiring Schnall. Part of me feel like they're content. I feel like they're in LSU season. They feel like we're spending money. Let's spend some more money and get another coach in there. They say this because it gets clicks, period. The standard for the media when it comes to LSU is either title or bust. But then when we win, they are on the bandwagon. Always has been and always will. Yeah, you're right. I hired Beamer as special team coach. He's one of the best, but he is not a great head coach. Man, that'd be a fall from grace, go from a head coach to a special teams coach. Is Rodgers keeping his job or is he in the layoffs? Never mind. That's dumb. He wouldn't be there. Not true. I wasn't going to get into this because I don't want to, talk about people losing their jobs. It's not fun. But like Ryan Clark, LSU, alum, he got told he was losing his job in the middle of a show. That came out and was told. Like he found out he was losing his job in the middle of a show. Like in the middle of like between hits. He was just like he was sitting there on the set and they're like, "Hey Ryan, they laying you off, dog." Tough, man. Tough. All right. Do I want to do this? Do I want to do this? I kind of do. Call Ravage was a shocker. Yeah, Ravage is, ooh, boy. I didn't see that. That's terrible. Yeah, Clark got let go in the middle of a hit. All right. Heck with it. Well, it won't take long. Our good old friend, Cody Campbell. We touched on it the other day. Thanks to Unc sending me the clip. I did a little more research on it. I wanted to kind of touch on it. I have a few pieces from a couple articles that I wanted to bring up and show. We're going to go through this real quick so we can get out of here. Cody Campbell and the Protect College Sports Act is unraveling because of the way he wants to act. A couple of days ago, I think it's about 5 days ago, the Texas Tribune came out and wrote an article on Ken Paxton's donation to let me see this. Okay. Texas Tribune talking about Cody Campbell's donation to Ken Paxton, Attorney General. In a June 11th letter, Paxton's office warned the Big 12 Conference on behalf of Texas Tech that any move to sanction the university for fielding Sorsby would be unlawful and expose them to $200 million in damages. This is not me saying this. This is not allegedly. This is the Texas Tribune. One day before he sent that letter, Texas Tech Board of Regents Chair Cody Campbell donated $274,300 to a fundraising committee supporting Paxton in his bid for U.S. Senate, the Attorney General of the state of Texas. They will go on to say, the same day Paxton sent the letter to the Big 12, he donated $100,000 to the GOP Attorney General nominee Mays Middleton, who's looking to replace Paxton. So he not only gave money to the man in the chair, he gave money to the man who's probably going to get the chair. Oh, boy. Campbell announced June 15th that Sorsby would not be a member of Texas Tech football team. And I brought this up because it was interesting to me. Texas Tech didn't announce that Sorsby wasn't going to be a part of the team. Cody Campbell did. Wouldn't the head coach or the university president come out and say, look, we made a decision. We're not going to let Brandon Sorsby be on the roster. we're putting this all behind us. It's getting out of control. We don't want to deal with it. No, Cody Campbell did. Cody Campbell came out and made the decision that Brandon Sorsby can't play football at Texas Tech. Well, he would respond with the Fort Worth Star-Telegram. If a paper has that many words, it's not a big enough paper. He addresses the donation to Kim Paxton. In this here, he says, the Sorsby thing wasn't even on the radar at that point, so there's nothing to be discussed. If I had discussed it with them, it wouldn't be out of line for me to do so. I think it would be out of line for you to do so. For you to have, if you to have a man-to-man, like a person-friendly conversation about it, no, that's not out of line. But to have the Board of Regents chair and the Attorney General of the state to have discussions around an incident, hey, what can you do? That would be something wrong. It would be something wrong. It would also say, if I wanted to make a nefarious deal, there are plenty of places and ways to do so. So you're just admitting you know how to make nefarious deals. Cool. More evidence. More evidence, Big 12. That was not at all what happened. I contributed because I wanted to support the race. That's the largest contribution you have ever made to Kim Paxton. Now, granted, I've brought it up here for everyone here to read. Kim Paxton filed campaign contributions under his name and his wife's name, back and forth, so he could get around the limits on campaign donations. This is the largest donation you've made ever to Kim Paxton. And at the same time, the guy who's vying for the seat, he's not even in the chair yet, but he's going to be, you donated to his campaign. A larger donation amount than you ever gave to Kim Paxton in the past. As far as I remember reading. This, I wanted to notate Eleanor Dearman from the Fort Worth Star-Telegram as well, but this also had to say, it's a completely normal course of business for any state institution to have constant contact with the Attorney General's office. No, it's not. No, it's not. No, it's not. The Attorney General is the top cop. The Attorney General is the top cop of a state. Top cop. Top prosecutor of the state. If someone's arrested on crimes and they're found the crimes aren't really holding, the sheriff or, the local attorney general or the district attorney doesn't want to press charges, the attorney general can show up and go, oh, no, we pressing charges. Charges. It is not common to have constant contact with the attorney general. I'm sorry. Has Verge Osbury and Heath Schroyer met Liz Merle? Probably. They're not in constant contact with her. I promise you that. She's under indictment right now as it is. But Cody Campbell, you're burying yourself more. Just shut up. I really hope the Big 12 grabs its manhood and says, we're doing this. Because this is ridiculous. Preposterous. Not only you greasing hands to get you are like, if anybody, I get it. The opponent for Kim Paxton for the Senate is not a great candidate by any means. Like, I read up on it. I don't know what to tell you. We have enough snakes in Washington as it is. I don't know if I want to put a guy who takes bribes. They all take bribes in Washington, so he'd fit right in. But I don't know if I want to actively vote for someone who takes bribes. Just saying. And as well, the guy trying to take his seat, what's he doing? Hey, man, if Paxton gets this done, I'm going to need my cut. Because when I come in, I can overturn this. I probably will. Yeah, make it 6. Make it 5 zeros. Thank you, buddy. Appreciate it. Allegedly. This is the type of stuff that I need to look at instead of protecting College Sports Act. You want to protect college sports? Get people like Cody Campbell out of it. Build the system, build the columns out to where people like Cody Campbell can't have the influence he has. That's how you protect college sports. If you have the flu and cancer, you don't treat flu first. That's probably a bad example. You probably would treat the flu because then if you have a broken foot and cancer, what's more important? The cancer. Cody Campbell's a cancer. Pretty simple. Cody Campbell is the cancer that's killing college athletics. It's that simple. And it's not because I don't want Texas Tech to be good. I don't care if Texas Tech will be good. I don't care. You got skull drug last year in the playoff. I don't care. Hey, Babbitt, not cheering. Ravens lose his job. Hopefully that means promotion for Monica. All for that, David. I also love Tom Hart. All right. So I'm actually not even going to bring up the Bible verse today, but we're going to talk about something that kind of like struck me yesterday. And it also deals with conversations I was having with a buddy of mine last week. But before we get there, do me a favor. If you haven't already, please hit the like button on the stream. If you're watching on YouTube, hit the like button. If you're watching on X, hit the like button. If you haven't subscribed to the YouTube, please, I beg you, subscribe. If you're not following on X, please, I beg you, follow. Repost it. Let everybody know you think the show's good and you have a fun time coming to watch me. It does a huge favor for me. I really appreciate it. The TikTok, the Instagram, all that. That's been great. Y'all love the Eddie Yaman shorts. Man, it's the funny thing is I keep going back and I'm making these clips. Like I still have clips to make. Like that dude was like, he was honestly just such a great conversation and it's such a bright young man. And then what does he do? He gets on base. You got a no. Hey, Yaman, you're up. Bomb. Love it. Also, I got to say this on here. Yeah, Bino's a big guy. Yaman's taller than Bino. Bino may have a little more like stock on him, but it ain't much. Yaman's a pretty big kid. Ask David. He's a pretty big kid. But before we get out of here, we got to talk about, bring up something about Christ to you guys. I always want to remember Christ is first. I know we do it last. I get it. You pick on me all you want. But we're never going to leave out here without talking about Christ. And it's going to connect with what I posted Sunday and what we talked about Friday after the Yaman interview. We talked about how you turning your sights to God and handing over your life to him, he can put his plans in place for you. But if you turn your back to him, he can't help you. It's pretty simple. Like if you won't relinquish yourself to him and surrender to his will and his grace, like he can't enact his plans for you. And I think I found the best way to describe it. The best moment out of the Bible, out of Scripture, is the moment where the disciples are leaving the Decapolis and they're going back to Capernaum and they're on the boat. This is when Jesus walks on water. But one part a lot of people don't talk about is the fact that Peter walks on water. I believe his name is Peter in the Bible. I believe he's Simon at this time. I don't think he's Peter yet, but he may be. Jesus walking on water. They're in the middle of a storm. The disciples are freaking out. They've been in and out. And I think in the Bible it says they've been there for like 9 hours fighting the storm. And Christ is walking out on the water towards the boat. And they look and they think it's a ghost. They're scared. They think it's a ghost. He goes, "It is I. Don't be afraid. It is I." And Peter steps up like Peter always does. And he says, "If it's you, then command me to walk on the water." And he goes, "Then come." Peter steps out. He gets to the water. And he starts walking on the water. He is focusing on Christ. He is surrendering to Christ and his will and his grace. And Jesus is allowing him, he didn't give him the power. He's allowing him to walk on water. He's telling him, don't be afraid. Keep your eyes on me. Come walk to me. Come to me. Walking to Jesus, Peter sees the waves, hears the wind. He gets scared. He takes his focus off of Christ. For a split second, he sinks. He sinks into the ocean. He turned away from Christ. And he sunk to the ocean. What does Christ do? Same thing he's going to do for everybody else. Christ sticks his hand to the water, pulls Peter up. Now, what's crazier? Think about this. A man walking on water or a man standing on water pulling you out of it. God's true, man. God's there. If you just turn to him and you can relinquish your life and you hear relinquish, you hear surrender, and they have such a negative connotation, those words, but it's not. It's not negative connotation whatsoever, man. It's a lot like, from my married people in the chat, it's a lot similar to when you meet your soon to be bride or your future bride. Every guy can walk around and tell you, no, I'm the same me I was when I met her. She can't change me. Oh, you lie. You lie. You full of it. Because you change. You're going to change for the woman you love. You surrendered to her. You used to come home and kick your shoes off and put them in the middle of the living room and just sit on the couch. Now you take your shoes off. You put them neatly right there where they're supposed to be, and that's it. You surrendered. It's somewhat like that. The different and you surrendering to your bride and you surrendering to the love of your life gives you that fulfillment and that love and that peace and that heartwarming side of life that you can only experience when you have that. Now multiply that 100, 1,000, 10,000, a million times, and that's Jesus. That's Christ. Keep your eyes on him. You heard Yaman say it. He doesn't go out there and play baseball for him. He goes out and plays baseball for Christ. And whatever happens, happens. He'll deal with it. If he's supposed to succeed, he'll succeed. If he's supposed to fail, he'll fail. It's that simple. Learn from Peter. Learn from Peter. Keep your eyes on him. When he didn't, sunk right to the bottom. David Billiot, huge. Yes, he is. You can tell a story of me reaching out to you Friday and helping me out if you want. Hey, man, if you want to, sure. Speaking of that, so some people may think I push religion or Christ on people, and I really don't try to. Like, I like people coming on here and saying, they don't want to cuss. I appreciate them not cussing because I want children to be able to watch the show as well. Because I have children, other people have children, but I wouldn't be like, oh my goodness, you cussed. I wouldn't do that. Like, I think about a clip from Shia LaBeouf. Shia LaBeouf was asked, what would he say to Christ if Christ walked in a room? He said he wouldn't say the S. He wouldn't say it. The S word. And it was really a moment of like devotion and love for Christ. And people really sat on that cuss word. They really sat on that cuss word. And they missed the point of it. David, so I think everybody knows Momo Billiot. I believe it's Momo Billiot, right? She had an accident last week. I'm not going to put her medical details out there. I think David did, but that's not my family to do so. And it was a scary moment for David and his family. And it's going to make me cry, dude. I can't stand you for this. I got the text and I wanted to call him. He it's the standard, not saying it was standard, David, when I say this. I'm not good at this kind of stuff. He is asking for prayers. He's asking for just prayers to keep her safe. And I called him. He was busy, but he called me back. And I'd already prayed for her. This was like, 30 minutes later. But on the phone, I could hear his worry, and we talked through what was going on. I gave him my opinion on the matter, and I asked him if he would pray with me. And in the Bible, I know there's part of the verse after this that people want to bring up, but two or more gather in my name, you shall be heard. And it's the power of prayer. And then David put out a post on X asking for prayers for his mama. And as far as I know, I'm pretty sure I'm not wrong when I say this. She's home. Now she's gonna need some help getting around the house for a little while. She's not running a marathon tomorrow, but she's happy, she's healthy, she's in good spirits. That is the most beautiful thing in the world. And not saying that, the power of prayer will fix the bones in your mama's in your mama's body I'm not saying that, she didn't need to go to the doctor. It's again, it's turning to Christ and putting your eyes on him. And it's beautiful and y'all have heard my testimony. One of my favorite things, like tell my wife, we're watching The Chosen, and you see all these moments, these miracle moments that he has throughout the show that are depicted in the show that he has in scripture. And because you watch it and you hear people question Christ, or you hear the Pharisees question Christ, and you're like, what are you doing? But then you see the miracles performed. And one night I remember sitting there thinking, oh, to see that'd be awesome. But then I looked at my son. I saw it already. My little man is one of those miracles. If y'all knew the names, it would blow y'all's mind, man. But that's just the power of prayer. The power of prayer alone. Me and David have never spoke about religion before. We haven't. And it's not because I don't think he's a religious man or he thinks otherwise. He knows my stance. I make it very clear. I mean, it's everywhere. But the fact, and you can say thank you, you'll forever appreciate it, buddy. Just you thinking of me to call me to have that moment. I'm trying not to cry right now. So, like I said, if I could help one person with the word of God, I'd really appreciate it. Really, really appreciate it. And he also updates, she is home and she is doing great. God is good, man. God's good. Emilio 504, I hope I'm saying that right. I love the wind bar in the background. Yes. I actually have David, Zach, and Babin. Y'all have to pick up your wind bars. I made some for them. Oh, before we get there, let me tell you this. So I got the stickers, found the stickers, and I texted David because I was driving, I couldn't research, and I was headed to Home Depot. I'm like, hey, find out the dimensions of the wind bar for me, like the crossbar. I'm thinking like the diameter of the bar. He sends me 16 feet long. I'm like, bro, I don't need that. I need like the bar. I just need the bar. Just need the bar. But Emilio, again, I hope I'm saying that correctly, my man. 504. I was born in Laplace, dog. I'm not far from you. First time tuning in, definitely subscribing. Sometimes OTB, LSU, and Mount Moscow can get stale after a while. If you subscribe and you tune in enough, you'll hear about my opinions on Matt Moscona. But Matt Flynn, Jacob Hester right here. By the way, Amelia, if you don't know, you can win that jersey this year on Pick to Click. Y'all better tell them. Welcome. Thank you, David. Thank you. Amazing shout out to Jesus and GMA. Hello, David. And thank you. Exactly. All right. Melio, tune in. I promise you'll learn more about Pick to Click and have a chance of winning that Hester jersey. Babin, love you, boys. So glad to hear your mama's doing well, David. Exactly. Remember, God loves you. All he wants you to do is love him back. I hope y'all have a great evening. Enjoy the rest of SEC Media Days. Thursday may be a little bit later of a show. Again, stuff's just going on. By the way, I did take the Kerry Vincent episodes down. There's reasons behind it. We can't get into it right now. If we'll be able to get into it anytime soon, one day we will get into it. But until then, yes, I know I took the Kerry Vincent episodes down. They won't be going back up. Anyways, we have some. Yaman was probably next to Dardar the best interview I had, though. That thing was gangster. Daily Joy's first show and her last show. She have clips coming out too. But he's like, we've had some really good shows. The guest like we could be having on soon, next month or so. Whoo! If you're a baseball guy, you're gonna love it. Anyways, God loves you. All he wants to do is love him back. Y'all have a great night. Go give your babies a hug and a kiss. Miss Missy with the sweetness. Always. Love you, Miss Missy. Go give your babies a hug and a kiss. Tell them you love them. Give your wife a hug, kiss. Tell her you love her or your husband. Miss Missy. I don't think we have that many females in the chat. But I hope everybody has a great night. I will see y'all again Thursday. I'll be posting on times. Stuff's going on. Y'all have a great night. Peace.